Imagine a man who spent his days penning poetry, crafting gourmet meals, and showing a surprisingly soft side within prison walls. Sounds like the profile of an artist, right? But this man, Stephen Wayne Anderson, was no ordinary prisoner. Behind the facade of talent and charm lies a chilling story of a ruthless killer whose path to death row is both haunting and complex. How does someone like this end up with a story that's stranger than fiction? Let's dive into the twisted, dark world of Stephen Wayne Anderson. Stephen Wayne Anderson, a name that resonates with cold-blooded calculation. Born on July 8, 1953, he wasn't just any criminal. Anderson was a contract killer and serial murderer who carved a bloody path that ended at California's San Quentin State Prison. Executed by lethal injection in 2002 for the brutal murder of Elizabeth Lyman, Anderson's criminal resume included confessions and confirmed kills of at least 8 others, spanning from fellow inmates to contract hits. His story, a chilling testament to a life one with calculated violence, raises a haunting question. What drives someone to embrace the role of a merciless killer? Stephen Wayne Anderson was born on July 8, 1953, the eldest of 2 sons, into a family marred by dysfunction and volatility. His early years were a harsh blend of neglect and violence. His father was an alcoholic with a dangerous temper, creating an environment of unpredictability and fear. Meanwhile, his mother's emotional abuse compounded the household's tension, leaving a mark on young Stephen and his brother. Their mother's volatile behavior reached a peak when Stephen was just 14 years old. Rather than support her sons, she banished both boys from the family home, effectively severing them from any semblance of stability or security. Now homeless and barely adolescents, Stephen and his brother relied on the kindness of friends and relatives, moving from one temporary refuge to another. This early exposure to abandonment and instability became the foundation of Anderson's worldview, one where survival meant relying on himself and viewing others with suspicion or even hostility. Growing up without a stable home or positive adult role models, he experienced an adolescence marred by rejection and emotional scars, which gradually hardened into a callous disregard for others' lives. As he transitioned into adulthood, Anderson's path began to mirror the chaos of his upbringing. By 18, he committed his first major crime, a school burglary in Farmington, New Mexico, that quickly escalated into a confrontation with police. Unfazed, Anderson would continue down an increasingly violent path. This was just the beginning of his descent, marking the start of a criminal journey that would only grow darker. The turbulence of his youth, the lack of a stable home, and the constant sense of rejection all played a role in shaping him into a man who would later be recognized not just as a criminal, but as a ruthless contract killer and serial murderer. Stephen Wayne Anderson's early life serves as a haunting reminder of how deeply rooted trauma can shape a person's future. In his case, the wounds of abandonment and abuse manifested in a violent, chilling path, a path that led him to become one of the most unsettling killers of his time. Stephen Wayne Anderson's descent into violent crime began in 1971 with a bold burglary at a school in Farmington, New Mexico. During the robbery, Anderson escalated the situation by threatening 2 responding officers, a first glimpse of the ruthless persona he would later become notorious for. This crime led to a burglary conviction, landing him a sentence of 1 to 5 years. Though paroled on this charge by 1975, Anderson wasn't yet a free man. He continued serving a sentence of 10 to 50 years on multiple aggravated burglary counts. Transferred out of state to Utah State Prison, his violent tendencies soon surfaced again. On August 24, 1977, Anderson murdered a fellow inmate named Blundell, and later assaulted another inmate and a correctional officer. But it was a chilling break-in on May 26, 1980, that would define Anderson's dark legacy. In Bloomington, California, he targeted the home of 81-year-old Elizabeth Lyman, a retired piano teacher. Under the cover of night, he cut her phone line, removed a glass pane from her French doors, and began his search through each room. When he entered Lyman's bedroom, she woke and screamed, a sound quickly silenced when Anderson shot her in the face at close range with a .45 caliber handgun. He covered her with a blanket, retrieved the shell casing, and proceeded to ransack the house for money, finding less than $100. Unfazed by the brutality he had just committed, Anderson took his time, even preparing a meal in Lyman's kitchen. As he settled in to watch TV, a neighbor, sensing something was amiss, alerted the sheriff's department. Deputies arrived and arrested him on the spot. During questioning, Anderson delivered a chilling confession, saying, "I was born and trained to be a killer. I always wanted to be a killer." Further investigation revealed Anderson's deadly past extended well beyond Lyman's murder. He admitted to 6 contract killings in Las Vegas, all occurring before his latest crime. In November 1979, he had also escaped from prison, working briefly for narcotics traffickers and committing at least 1 additional murder in the remote eastern mountains of Salt Lake County. His history of calculated violence made Anderson one of the most cold-blooded killers of his time, a man whose life was a relentless pursuit of death. On July 24, 1981, Stephen Wayne Anderson received a death sentence, a decision that, for many, marked the end of a terrifying chapter. Prosecutors leaned heavily on Anderson's record of violence, both inside and outside prison walls, presenting a vivid portrait of an individual who posed a serious, unrelenting threat. Describing him as a sociopath unable to coexist peacefully with anyone, the prosecution detailed his brutal, unprovoked assaults and his near-constant disregard for human life. The courtroom heard shocking accounts of Anderson's crimes. He was characterized as a man who would kill indiscriminately, stabbing and assaulting at will. A series of violent incidents in prison further supported this claim. Anderson admitted to stabbing an inmate in the Utah State Prison while watching a movie, a crime that led to his conviction for aggravated assault by a prisoner with a deadly weapon. In another act of brutality, he confessed to killing a fellow inmate named Blunda, who was found dead from a fatal stabbing. These actions underscored the severity of Anderson's danger, highlighting the relentless pattern of violence that followed him even behind bars. Testimonies revealed that his aggression was not limited to fellow inmates. Just before his transfer from San Quentin, Anderson had engaged in a violent altercation that led to a change in his housing situation, further reinforcing the prosecution's warning that there is no place that anybody is going to be safe from this individual. His worldview, they argued, revolved solely around self-interest. He lived only for old number one and disregarded the rest of society. For more than 2 decades, Anderson's death sentence loomed, serving as a reminder of his dark legacy. Then, on January 29, 2002, justice was finally carried out, as Stephen Wayne Anderson was executed by lethal injection at San Quentin State Prison. Pronounced dead at 12:30 a.m. PT, he left behind a disturbing legacy, a life marked by relentless violence, manipulative behavior, and unapologetic brutality. Anderson's final moments were as chillingly ordinary as they were unsettling. His last meal request included 2 grilled cheese sandwiches accompanied by radishes, a pint of cottage cheese, a hominy corn mixture, a slice of peach pie, and a pint of chocolate chip ice cream. When the time came, he had no last words. For a man whose life had been anything but silent, he met his end in absolute quiet, leaving others to reflect on the wreckage he had caused. Stephen Wayne Anderson's story remains a stark reminder of the cold, calculated nature that some are capable of embracing, a cautionary tale of how deep darkness can run. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel to get more videos on real crimes. See you in next video.